What's up everybody, welcome back to Superpower Reviews. My name is Liam Smith. Today we're going to be reviewing the Gotham City Nightmare Collection Batman from Sideshow Collectibles. Okay, so the first thing we'll do as always is take a look at the box. And I do want to mention this is a pretty gigantic box if you're having it shipped to you. It's about 20.5 inches across, and of course there's an outer shipping box makes it a little bit larger. Okay, so on the front of the box, it is in a matte black color with a close-up illustration of the statue itself. Have the Batman logo with Gotham City Nightmare Collection on the front. Flipping around to the side, it's very subtle, but there's a dark blue color here with a bunch of bats flying, and the other side of the wing of the statue. Flipping around to the opposite side, same exact thing as the previous side, just the silhouette of the bats. Okay, and flipping around to the back side of the box, you have a really cool image of what looks like a X-ray of a bat. Very cool artwork there, would almost be worthy of cutting this out and framing it or displaying it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the Gotham City Nightmare Collection Batman out of the box and take a closer look at this massive statue. Okay, so as you can see, it does come in a very large block of styrofoam. They're actually two different tiers to how this is packaged. First thing we're going to do, I already cut the tape on this off camera, so I'm going to go ahead and lift this off, which contains the base at the bottom. Okay, and like I mentioned, the bottom half of the container holds just the base itself. There are a lot of very intricate parts on this that are very fragile, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the box and put it onto the table off camera, and we'll take a closer look at that. Okay, so now I've got the base safely out of the box and onto the table. I'll go over the details a little further in a moment. You can see there's just a mass amount of intricate details all over this, but the first thing I want to show you is the bottom of the base. I'm going to carefully lift that up and show you that it is a very limited edition. We're looking at only 736 statues made. This is 261 out of 736. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get the rest of the statue out of the box, lay it all out on the table. We'll go over all the individual parts, how it assembles, and then we'll take a closer look at the entire thing together. Okay, so before I take everything out of the box, I want to show you how the rest of the statue comes packaged. Everything is wrapped in plastic, has its own individual housing area in the styrofoam, just like any Sideshow statue. It's packaged really well. You do have to be careful when you take the lid off because the main statue itself, the figure, is fairly loosely sitting in there, so you want to make sure it's not being pulled up or out, and make sure that you look at the top of the box, which does say top on the top of the styrofoam, to make sure you're not opening it upside down. Okay, so first thing I need to mention is there is a little bit of an issue. I attempted to attach this to the base, and it looks like on the back of this peg there is a rough spot that is sticking out that is not allowing it to push into the head of the statue. So I'm going to have to take a look at that, see if that's something that may need to be filed down, and then I'll get back to mounting that into the base. Okay, so after looking a little bit closer with the problem of this attaching to the base, it appears to be this small area right here. There's a piece of metal where this is a magnet, and a little bit of the magnet is sticking out on the side, so it's making it a very tight fit getting it into the statue. I did have to scrape it a little bit, but I didn't want to do it too much, so now it's just a very snug fit, but I was able to get it to fit in there. Okay, so now I've got the statue fully assembled. As you can see, this thing is just absolutely massive. The wow factor on this thing, you just have to see it in person to appreciate it. Let me go ahead and give you some measurements on this just to give you an idea of the scale of what we're looking at here. Okay, so from the table to the top of the ears, we're looking at almost 21.5 inches tall. That is a very tall statue. And not only is the height of the statue impressive, the width is as well. The wingspan on this is looking at about close to 21 inches across, just under 21 inches. The base itself, from front to back, if you're looking at your display space and wanting to know how that'll work, you're looking at just over 12 inches from the back of the base to the front. And the measurement across the base, you're looking at just under 14 inches. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is the pedestal that comes for holding the alternate head sculpt. The second head sculpt that you're not using would sit on display in this really cool, really detailed pedestal that follows the whole theme of the base. Now the paintwork on this is just as good as the rest of the statue. If you look down the back where the ribbing is up to the wings, lots of stippling on there, hand painted. dry brushing, different shades of browns and grays, gives it a really cool demonic alien type look. Okay, so like I mentioned before, the head sculpts are magnetically attached to the body of the statue as well as this pedestal here, so we'll go ahead and mount a normal Batman portrait first and take a closer look at that. So like I said, it just does attach magnetically like that. Now let's take a look at the details on this. Now I do use the term, they knocked it out of the park a lot, and they really did with this one. I mean, if you look at the paintwork on this, the sculpting, everything about it is just top notch. I mean, Sideshow really went full out on putting massive details into the sculpt. So let's take a look at that. Looking at the top of the cowl, they went with the very large demonic style ears, which you'll see why they did that in a minute once I get to the demon head sculpt. I love how they put a lot of detail into the furrow and the brows, down into the face. There's a lot of wrinkling. Even though this is the normal Batman, he's merging into a demonic look, a very worn out Batman. Now moving on down to the face, it's almost a zombie style look. His face is very pale, pinkish pale, almost kind of dead looking, which would make sense because he is also turning into a demon. Now moving around to the side of the sculpt, I love how they have this torn open right here on the side, as well as all the details in the wrinkling, the sculpting. They even have what looks like the spine showing through the cowl in the back, which is a really cool feature. Now looking straight on at the face, I really love the look they gave on this, a very worn and withered Batman. He's got the furrow in the brows, he's got the whited out eyes, which I really love that look, and I really like how they went with the tall ears on the cowl. Okay, now let's move on to the demon head sculpt, which this is by far my favorite. In my opinion, they just really killed it with this one. So let's go ahead and take a look from the top down. Okay, obviously they went with a very nasty, very demonic look, and I love that. Looking at just the shape of the head itself, not even human anymore. This is just full demon. Moving down to the eyes, they kept the whited out eyes just like it shows in the Batman portrait. And as you go further down the face, it almost has a decayed look. I mentioned before about kind of a zombie type look. I wouldn't call this zombie at all, but the way they have a little bit of decay going down there, the very gaunt look and the bones showing through the eyes, it definitely has a little bit of that feel to it. Now moving on down to the mouth, this just blows me away, the amount of fine details they put in this. Look at the teeth they have sticking out there, the fangs, the individual teeth. You can even see, I would say it almost looks like cavities in the teeth. There's holes in the back molars of the teeth. It's rotted away, the gums are nasty and brown looking. The paintwork around it is just incredible. Now this thing just looks incredible at all angles. Look at that profile shot. These ears, the sculpting in the ears, all the way down the side of the face, all the intricate sculpting details they put to give it that very gaunt, demonic shape across the side of the head is just blowing me away on the details they put into that. And taking a look at the back of the cowl, this is where it matches the Batman cowl a little bit more. You see the same spine, still has a little bit of that bluish color. It starts to get more and more gray as it goes into the demon side around the sides and the front. Okay, now I wanted to get a little bit closer up here. I'm going to do this handheld so I can show you every angle of the demon head sculpt. Get a little bit closer on the face and the mouth, give you an idea of what it looks like inside, where the teeth are, where the tongue is, the gum line, just everything about it is just incredible. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over the details of the actual statue itself from top to bottom. Now I did go over the face sculpt already, so we won't review that again. Moving on down to, let's just look at the overall sculpture and the paintwork on the body. The one thing about this that I love they did is they gave it an organic look. Instead of it just having him wear a suit, the suit is actually part of his skin. It's basically an organic suit. Instead of a cape, there's actual organic wings. Everything about it is very demonic, almost alien-like, and like I said, very organic. So starting at the top of the shoulders here, you'll see this theme throughout the entire statue is a lot of spikes and barbs throughout the entire thing. You see as it goes down the arm. There's also a lot of scaling. Like I said, it does have a very alien look to it, even though it is supposed to be a demon. It does have a little bit of an alien vibe as well. And moving on down to the chest, once again I talked about it being organic with the suit. Same thing with the Bat logo there. The Bat logo is very unique, different than any other Bat logo I've seen, and it's integrated into the body of the suit. It doesn't look like a leather paste on or anything like that. It looks like part of the skin itself. I really like all the intricate details they put in the sculpting throughout, all the way down the shoulder, the biceps on the arms, down the side of the arm, through these spikes that come out the what would be considered gauntlets on a usual Batman outfit. This is once again essentially growing out of his arm like that. But the attention to detail on things like this are absolutely amazing. These are actually physically sharp to the touch. Very fragile, very highly detailed, very sharp, even coming down to the hands. The same way with the veins in the hands, the fingernails, they're more like claws, very sharp to the touch. Now coming on down to the midsection, I really love what they did with the belt here. This definitely is a separate add-on piece that was sculpted separately from the statue, and once again I keep going back to the word alien even though this is a demon statue. It has almost a futuristic alien look to the belt itself. Now let's take a look at one of the most impressive areas, and that is the wings. I talked about the almost 21-inch wingspan going across. Well, the sculpting and the paintwork on this is nothing short of amazing. Looking at the top of the wing, it has a stretched skin look to it, just like a regular bat wing would. Has these spikes coming out of the top. I love the shading that they did. There's so much hand painting and different color shading throughout the wing. Down in the little crevices here, different shades of brown, blue, green, just like in the body. Tons of detail in that. I can't even express how detailed this looks in person. Now moving on down to the legs of the statue, once again, muscular structure, but still giving it that skinny look to it. Looking at the back of the legs, it has that ribbed alien type feature on the back of the calf, just like it does on the bicep and on the ribs of the torso. Moving down to the feet of the statue, same thing with the hands, same grayish bluish color tone on there, but also with nails that look more like claws. And again, looking through the feet, the calves, the upper area of the legs, there's so much shading of different colors, purples, blues, and grays, that just give it a very detailed, highly contrasted, yet subtle muted tones on the colors. Okay, so flipping around to the back side of the statue, I mean, just look at the sculpting that went into the wings on the back. So much detail in this for something that may not be seen if you have it up on a shelf. The spine that comes out throughout the wings all the way down to the bottom, the sculpting of the fine wrinkles and skin stretching, the texture of the skin on the wings, everything is absolutely natural and real looking. Now looking at the paintwork on the wings, same thing, lots of subtle shading, lots of hand painting and dry brushing into every crack and every crevice of the skin. Absolutely amazing. And following down the legs, of course I mentioned before about the scaling on the back of the calves, the grays and the blues there shaded together. Very, very cool combination of colors. It goes into that blue a little bit to give it that classic Batman hint to the colors, but without going too far into a deep or a bright blue. They want to keep it very muted, very creepy, and very demonic looking, and they definitely accomplished that here. Okay, so now let's take a look at what has got to be the most impressive part of the entire statue. They obviously went with a gargoyle demonic style bat for the base. You can see the head of the base where he's standing here, the right arm of the bat coming out here with the claws, the wing coming across this side, the other wing comes across the back, which I will show you once we flip that around. The paintwork on this, again, just like on the body, I think even more so if you look at the details in the little ribbed areas and scaling and all the different areas on the skin. So many fine lines that are individually painted, hand painted. The line work on it, absolutely amazing. I've just never seen anything like it before. It has a very, I'll use the word again, organic look to it. Very real, very natural kind of scaly skin tone to it. Now one of the coolest things too is the additional features they added here. Such small, fine details. You could just look at this thing for hours and find new things. Look at all the individual sculpted bats that are attached to the base here. There's multiple ones laying on top of each other in different directions. There's even more on the back side that I'll show you in just a moment. Looking a little further down here, you have everything from insects to worms, rats up on this side. Obviously they were going for a death and decay type look, and they absolutely accomplished that. Okay, so I want to take a minute and talk about the face on the Gargoyle Demon Bat here. It has just as much detail as the actual head sculpt. If you look at the fine sculpted teeth here, the large fangs, the ribbing I mentioned before around the skin, the cracks that are coming around the skin inside the mouth to give it kind of that stone look to it, as if it's a petrified demon bat. It used to be real, it used to be organic, but now it's a petrified and cracked stone gargoyle. So I mentioned before about having this statue on a rotating base if you have it available. Absolutely worth doing that for display. This is a perfect example why. Look at the back of the base on this. This is absolutely amazing. You have the full-size bats here. Like I said, on the back you wouldn't even see it from the front normally. All these individual bats, it's almost like a nest of bats right here. The rats crawling around the back again. Just so much going on here. There's so much to look at. It would almost be a shame to, like I said, hide that with this being up against a wall or on a shelf. Okay, so as I always do, we're gonna scan around and get a bunch of close-ups. You definitely want to stick around for that on this one because it was impossible to cover every single detail during the actual review. So this is where you're gonna get to see all the fine details, the close-ups, the 360-degree view. Check this out. Alright, so that's going to wrap up this review of the Sideshow Collectibles Gotham City Nightmare Batman. Go ahead and leave a comment below. I definitely want to know what you thought about this incredible statue. And of course, don't forget to subscribe because we have lots of upcoming reviews, lots of cosplay videos, lots of content right around the corner. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.